Tally ho there champs, and welcome to the show. Now, over the last 2 weeks I've had the pleasure of being able to use the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1 to 9365 on my little break and an event I had in the city. It was an absolute pleasure to use. This is a hybrid, of course, it's a 2-in-1, so that's where it differs from the XPS 13. Also inside it differs, it actually is thinner too. I'll get onto that later. Prices start in Australia at $2,299, $999 in the US, and this model I have here costs $2,800 Australian, and the same model in the US is about $1,200. So it is rather expensive, but it is a new premium product. So this one here has a i7 7Y75. Now even though this is an i7, it's not a real i7. These are the chips that were formerly named the Core M. It is the Kaby Lake version though, and it actually does perform better than some of the older 15 watt i7s, but doesn't compare to say the new Kaby Lake 15 watt i7 or i5. So it's not as powerful as a proper 15 watt i7. Its base clock is 1.3 GHz. Dell have tuned this where it can burst over 3 GHz. It can only do that for a little bit, but it does come in handy, that burst speed. This is loaded with 16 GB RAM. It's actually the low powered DDR3 RAM, which there is no low powered version of DDR4 yet, but 16 GB is an enormous amount of RAM on something like this. 512 GB M.2 NVMe SSD, Intel 615 graphics, a 46 watt battery. It comes in at a super light 1.2 kilos, 2.7 pounds, starts at 8mm and tapers off to 13.7mm, and you have the option of a 13.3 inch Full HD or QHD screen. Now the design is beautiful. It's just like the XPS 15 and 13. You get that full metal jacket, that aluminium exterior, and you have that carbon fiber interior and that beautiful, gorgeous infinity edge display. Now I said the XPS 13 in gold was the sexiest laptop I've ever used. Well, this one's even sexier because this design just gets better the smaller and thinner it gets. And the XPS 13 is thin, but this is next level. So it's a 2-in-1, so you get all those 2-in-1 features, being able to use it as a normal laptop, tent mode, presentation mode, as a tablet, and you can actually buy the active pen as an option. It's a great walk-on pen. It's actually one of the better pens I've used on a 2-in-1, and it's great for note taking and even art if you're interested in that sort of thing too, as long as it's nothing too heavy duty. Being so small and thin, you would think, well, if you compared it to say the MacBook, which only has one USB-C port, well, this thing's slim and gorgeous too, but they're able to fit a few ports. Obviously when you go this thin, you cannot fit full-size ports, so there are a compromise in that, but they do include a dongle. For some reason this review unit didn't come with it. I think it may have been lost or something, but I believe it does come with the laptop itself. So on the left hand side you have a full 4x Thunderbolt 3 port, a combination microphone and headphone jack, and you have the power indicator button. On the right hand side you have the power, micro SD and a USB-C port. For something so thin and light and having the adapter included, you're covered for ports. It's a really nice keyboard. It's really solid. What I mean by that is the keys are not wobbly. Although it doesn't have the travel of the XPS 15 keys, I actually like this keyboard. For something this size, it is a really good keyboard. And having big hands, it is cramped for me, but I have no problems typing with this keyboard. The trackpad is really good too. It's glass. All XPS trackpads are fantastic, and this is one of the better ones you'll find. The screen is fantastic. Now this model here, I have the QHD version, 13.3 inch QHD. It's over 100% sRGB and 72% of color gamut. 400 nits of brightness on this QHD model. It is super bright, super crisp. It's an epic screen. It really is a fantastic display, color accurate, and the price you pay with the QHD, you're not going to get the battery life you get with a 1080p screen, but for me, I'll definitely get the QHD version. It's definitely one of the best screens I've seen on smaller laptops. Those hinges are solid, sturdy. There's not much play in the screen when you use it as a touch, so the build quality is great. And as you'll see down there, the 720p webcam, it actually looks like it has 2 lenses. I believe in the future with an update, you'll be able to use this webcam for Windows Hello. At the moment, you can only use the optional fingerprint scanner for Windows Hello, and this model here did come with the fingerprint scanner. It works great, and once you use Windows Hello, you won't want to go back. So I'm really impressed with this display. Now, sound is good. It's got tiny little speakers on the side there. They're actually quite powerful for how small they are. A little bit of distortion at the top end, like pretty much every laptop I use. The clarity's pretty good, but one thing to note is when you're using it in all these different positions, you'll have a different sound experience in each of the different modes. And of course, when you use it in all these different modes, the keyboard disables. And I didn't have any problems using it as a tablet. And it's great for note taking, or if you're an artist using Photoshop or some sketch program. I would say it's aimed more at, say, an executive that wants to do productivity, or a student that needs to take notes. This is perfect for my wife. She uses a Surface, and for what she needs, she doesn't need no dual core Kaby Lake i7 that's 15 or 45 watt quad core. That's going to make no difference to her, because what she does, productivity, your usual work stuff like Excel, a little bit of Photoshop, and she needs to write stuff. She goes to conferences, she needs to take notes, she needs to sign stuff, and this is perfect for her. Even though she uses the Surface now, this would actually be better for her, because having a more powerful CPU is not going to make any difference to what she does. And I think that's who this is aimed at. The executive who's needs productivity on the go, or the student that's taking notes and stuff, more so than an artist. Although you can use Photoshop, you can get away with a little bit of video editing, but really this is just for the executive or student or someone that needs to take notes or do productivity type tasks. It's not a content creation device. Now, battery life is really good on this. With this QHD model, I was getting around 7 hours battery life. If you get the 1080p version, you'll be getting 8 hours battery life. Doesn't have no fan, it's silent, so that's great. The only thing you can upgrade is the M.2 SSD, so make sure you get the amount of RAM you want. But being a silent laptop is fantastic. No fans to annoy you. Does get a little bit warm. That's the price you pay for not having a fan. Nothing too untoward, but you will feel it get warm. You can play your casual games, your tablet type games like Asphalt 8, or you'll be able to play Football Manager, Minecraft. But if you want to play like AAA titles, forget about it. You'll be able to play CSGO at really low settings, 720p, but this is not what this is for, and it's not made for video editing. It's made for productivity in mind, and maybe an artist that doesn't really have demanding needs. The lag is very minimal. The palm rejection is excellent, so it actually is really good for drawing and note taking. And that's it. That's my review of the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1, the 9365. Really fantastic 2-in-1. It does have its limitations with this CPU, and it is expensive, so they're the downsides. But man, if you want a light, sexy productivity 2-in-1, I think you'll find it hard to beat this one. So I'd like to really thank you guys for watching. Let me know down there in the comments what you think. Give me a thumbs up if this video helped you. I've got lots more tech content coming soon, and until next time guys, tally ho.